Hello and welcome to today's video. We're going to cover BLG T1 top lane heading into Worlds 2024 finals. I did want to go much more in depth than what I have on the board, but these teams and players have played against each other a lot. I mean, Ben and Zeus have played against each other probably 20 to 25 times already in their career, so it's a lot of stats to try and mine in a short time. So we're going over just Worlds here for this week. How are they doing on this patch at this time? Oftentimes we want to look back at past patches where different champions were meta, and I think we all can agree that not every player is equal on every champion every day, every patch, every tournament. So the notion that, well, so-and-so beat somebody a year and a half ago, I mean, okay, I put it on the board because, hell, I mean, it's something fun to put on the board, but at the same time, how much does it actually matter? We look at T1 yesterday. They had lost to Gen G in best of fives the last 18 months, and then they beat them. And technically, BLG have not beaten T1 the last two times these two teams have faced each other, albeit in Esports World Cup, which I do not consider a real tournament. And then, a tournament worth even putting it even on the same tier as a domestic title. And then T1 beat BLG in a best of one at this tournament. But in terms of best of fives, BLG did beat them 6 months ago. So, I guess we could look and compare those patches and see if it was the same meta or not. I'm pretty sure nobody wants to actually do that because then it loses value. But regardless, these two, of course, top three in the world alongside 369. At this tournament, they've probably both surpassed him, and rightfully so. Bin has played excellent on the Jax at times. His team fighting has been exceptional. Zeus, dominant in lane, much more than Bin is, and we're going to see that in the stats here. But just things to start with. So keep in mind, opponent-wise, Bin played Doran 4 games, Breathe 3, Broken Blade 3, Aja 2, Zeus once, Mirwin once, and Zika once. Now, in terms of Zeus, he played Keen 4 times, 369 4 times, Broken Blade twice, Wiser once, and Bin once. Champion selection. What type of champions are these guys playing? Well, in 15 games, Bin has only played 4 champions. In the majority of those games, he's played Jax, 8 of 15. So he's played Jax, Rumble, Gnar, K'Sante. And for Zeus, he's played 6 champions in 12 games. Jax and Gragas 3 times each, Rumble, Gnar, Camille, and Maokai top lane. So Zeus showing more flexibility in champion selection than Bin is at this tournament thus far. We also have to keep in mind T1 are just a more flexible team. They can play more shit. I think it's pretty clear, and that was clear going into the tournament. In terms of draft, why are these teams drafting these players, these champions? Well, both teams are actually banning top lane quite a bit, and you could argue because they're on red side, they're banning, first pick, so they're banning Aurora and Yone, champions that can be flexed from mid to top. Now, I will say T1, one of their most banned champions is Jax, but then at the same time, BLG also ban a lot of Gnar and Poppy. So, interesting things here, right? BLG banning 3 flexes and then a Gnar. And we did see going into the quarterfinals that Gnar was a champion that was being banned heavily against Zeus. And maybe it gets banned against him again in finals. You don't really want to waste a ban on a Gnar if you're Bin or BLG. But, I mean, they've been doing it at this tournament. In terms of banning against, T1 really don't face many Aurora or Yone bans because they are on red side the majority of the time. BLG have faced quite a bit of Aurora bans to keep it out of Ben and Knight's hands. In terms of stats, KDA, Zeus has the advantage, 4.2 to 3, if you take into account assists counting as half, which I do. KP, Ben is less involved than Zeus, 62% to 55%. So over 3 out of every 5 kills Zeus is involved in with T1. CS per minute about even. Return on investment pretty close. It's damage divided by gold. Bin's getting 1.27 damage per gold. But then we look at this down here, the shares. Despite Ben dealing that much damage more than the gold he's receiving, his share does not check out. He is getting about 22% of the team's gold, but dealing only 20% of the damage. Zeus, it's pretty much 21% for both. So he's actually dealing more damage than gold he's receiving in terms of share, what the team's getting out of him. Now we look at their champion pools. I mean, I'm not saying make it make sense, but I'm saying we see their champion pools. Whether it's facilitated or not, are we executing on these champions to maximize the damage output of them? Jack's more so a split pusher. Sometimes not as involved. We saw Ben oftentimes taking turrets in the side lane. So that is a factor. Vision efficiency. Zeus 2.65, Ben 2.28. Possibly in part, I know somebody commented last week that they believe that there's a possibility that Ben's Jack's usage causes his vision efficiency to drop. Comparing it to other top laners at that time, there were some that were better and more efficient on Jax in multiple games, and also some that were much worse. So just keep that in mind that Ben is not still the most efficient on Jax with vision efficiency. In terms of 15 minutes, so at 15 minutes, Ben is not doing great. And we could say, oh, well, lane swaps. Well, XP, he's also behind. So that is a thing. Zeus had over 500 gold and 375 XP. So are they going to put Zeus in a position to succeed again? I would imagine they will try to. Zeus is more so a carry than Faker is at this present time. In terms of solo kills per game, Ben averaging more than 1 every 4 games, and Zeus less than 1 out of every 5. Zeus has 2 solo kills in 12 games, Ben 4 and 15. Champion usage, like I said, Zeus much more flexible with 6 champions in 12 games, Zeus 6 and 12 and Ben 4 and 15. So just thinking about this matchup, I mean, it's going to be an elite one. We have great players across the rip. These teams have played against each other a lot. Like I started this video, Ben and Zeus have played against each other all the way dating back to MSI 2022. Ben has never lost a best of 5 to T1. Nobody on BLG has ever won Worlds. So, we will say, these things. These are facts of the matter, and going into this event, something's going to change, right? That's kind of the deal. Just like when T1 and Gen G went against each other. It's like, okay, either two things are going to happen. Either Gen G is going to overcome this hurdle and finally get to finals, and Chovy will get to finals, or T1 are going to beat Gen G for the first time in a best of 5 in 18 months. And so that's just the deal. Like, we just speak a matter of facts. These things are a situation. There's never been a Chinese mid laner to win Worlds, and we'll talk about that in a couple days. So something's going to have to give here, right? Either T1, beats BLG in a best of 5 for the first time in a while, if not at all, or BLG are the first 5-man Chinese squad to win Worlds. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a great final. Hopefully it's a banger. I know I'm going to be working next Sunday at some point, probably towards the end of it, so I won't have a video up until late Sunday night. But either way, I do expect it to be a good one. Thank you for watching. If you like the video, like it, subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content. Follow me on Twitter, join the Discord, become a YouTube supporter, and hope to see you again tomorrow.